Hey, my name is Farrell Lamoth, and I have ADHD. And I chose to make this documentary as a way to talk about learning disabilities and get other people's stories and their experiences and what learning disabilities are like for them or what they feel, how they feel about them. I myself also have an auditory processing disorder, which I can't retrieve. I have trouble retrieving knowledge I just learned, which is why when I say I'm bad at names, it's because I'm actually really bad at names. Because I'll meet you an hour before, and sometimes an hour later, I'll forget your name if I don't know you already, or if the name's not unique to me. Like other people are like, oh, I'm bad at names too. I mean, I'm legitimately bad at names because of this disorder, not just because I don't want to know your name, just because my brain can't soak up your name or soak up the so my brain just can't process the name. So that's why sometimes when I think of a person's name, I'll think of their face in my head or spell out the name in my head. What's your name and what kind of learning difference do you have?
My name is Ben Bass, and I have ADHD.
My name is Spencer and I have ADHD.
I'm Sam Hintz, and I have ADD.
My name is Anna Grace. I have ADD, ADHD, slight learning disabilities, anxiety, you name it, I have it.
Does the name learning disability bother you, and if so, why?
Um, no, it doesn't bother me because I guess that's what I grew up knowing it as, a learning disability, so I'm just used to knowing it by what it's called. I'm sure there's a nicer way of putting it, I just don't know it.
Not really.
I mean, it bothers me because I don't see it as. I just don't like when you hear disability, like what you think about, and I don't want to be grouped in with those things. It's just my. The process in which I think about things and I learn is a little different, but it's a learning. It should be a learning like difference, not like disability.
Does the name learning disability bother you?
Hmm. I not really. I mean, I I I don't really know what else you would call it.
I don't know if the name learning disability bothers me because it's something I've always heard it called. In a way, it does sound a little weird because the word disability makes people think of somebody who's disabled, like who's physically disabled, and or like there are people who are intellectually challenged or intellectually disabled, but that makes people think, well, we are disabled, like we can't do things other people can do, which is not true. I've struggled my whole life with people thinking I couldn't do what other people do because of my learning disability. And it's always really bothered me because I feel like I'm a normal person, and being treated as abnormal always really hurts. Actually, a lot. Because I feel like I can do stuff other people do. I actually strive even harder to like, because I have always been told as a kid I was always like had a lot of trouble in school and stuff, and I always strive harder than normal because I want to prove that I can do this. I can do what other people do. Just because I learn disability doesn't mean I can't. Were you ever bullied for having a learning disability?
Yep, I was bullied. I didn't know at the time that why I was being bullied. Um, I I started after I got kicked out of Catholic school because they didn't want to deal with me because I was a really hyper energetic kid. Um, I went to another school and I was the new kid. It was about second grade, and it wasn't that bad at first. There were new kids every year, and eventually I wasn't going to be the new kid anymore. Third grade came, more new kids. I was still treated like the new kid. Fourth grade came, kids got vicious, learned different names. The word retard was learned. that saying, bullying got really bad that teachers started actually coordinating their lessons around bully awareness. All because of me. I was the only one in the class who got bullied. I was called weird a few times. I didn't know it at the time. I thought they were just like talking. I didn't know I was being bullied until they stole my clothes out of my gym locker and hid them. And I was stranded in the locker room for almost the whole day. It was like straight out of a Judy Blume book. They used to say things like, "You're really weird, Anna." And I was just like, thanks, because my sisters and my cousins used to call me weird, and I was like, I don't know, I liked being weird. But I didn't realize at the time I didn't know that I was being bullied because I was different. I didn't think I was different. And like I said, whenever I usually tell people I have ADD, they say they don't notice. So I always assume, I'm not different. And I'm not different. So I don't process information the same as the next person. It's just processing. It's not like I'm not stupid.
I was also, because of this, I was bullied extremely for having a learning disability as a kid. I had a lot of negative experiences having a learning disability as a child. I can't remember much about it, but from my elementary school years, but I do remember not having many friends when I was in elementary school and kindergarten and stuff. I had a few close ones. I actually only had guy friends for a while because no girls seemed to want to hang out with me or talk to me. And after a while, I only had 1 to 2 friends, maybe. People who actually liked me or could stand me. I had acquaintances or anything, but nobody who would really want to have a sleepover with me or hang out with me. I spent most of my time with my parents growing up as a kid. Because nobody. What am I doing now? Because nobody wanted to be my friend. Wow. I always cry talking about it just because of the fact, it's weird now. I'm 28 now, and still thinking about that time in my childhood still bothers me a lot because of how bad the bullying got, because how much names I was called, and just how nobody really wanted to talk to me. My friend, my parents were my best friends because I didn't have anybody up until 7th grade or 6th grade that really wanted to be my friend. I got made fun of a lot. One word that I got called a few times that I hate the word. Is retard. I cannot stand that word. For me, it's a slur. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain it, but it's kind of I don't want to say any bad words because I don't want to make it equivalent to some racial words, but to me, for a person like me, it's a slur and it's really negative. It's, to me, one of the worst words that you can call anybody, especially people who have learning disabilities or actually are intellectually challenged. Those are some of the most amazing people, people who are in the Special Olympics. Those are people who are some of the most amazing people. And just to call them something so derogatory, it just hurts me because they can do so, me, I can do so much and they can do so much. They can do so much stuff other people can do. Also, as I kept saying, I was bullied a lot as a kid. I actually, because of it, I started to develop, I think it runs in my family. I think depression runs in my family on my grand's side, but because of the bullying, I started developing depression in the 4th grade when I was 10 years old. I was suffering as a young kid that age. I shouldn't have been thinking the things I did or feeling the way I did, but because of getting bullied and how hard I was doing in school, it's really weird to say it now. I had suicidal thoughts in the 10th grade and when I was 10. I didn't realize it was at the time, but because of how bullied I was for being different and for having a learning disability, and for people being, oh, she has a special TED, she's a retard, why are you so weird? Why aren't you like everybody else? I used to pray to God at night to kill me just because I hated being different and I hated being made fun of constantly. And I hated feeling scared to go to school I hated feeling like I couldn't go to school. Like, school is supposed to be one of your safe zones, but for me it wasn't. It wasn't a place I liked to be at all. I didn't feel comfortable anywhere. Even at home, sometimes I didn't feel comfortable because my parents were always fighting. So I didn't really have anywhere to go. I didn't have anywhere where I felt like I could be myself. What kind of misconceptions have the people have had about your ADHD, or if you heard of the people had about ADHD, dyslexia, or they have had about you once they found out you had ADHD?
I've had someone talk slower, like noticeably slower, like we're talking right now, but they are talking like this. And I was really offended by it because I learned differently than you, but that doesn't mean that I can't comprehend what you're saying. Or I have that constant someone was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna put away all the shiny objects," and I'm like that's not really a thing. Like, yeah, I get distracted by things, but when people make that joke, like, "Ooh, look, shiny," it's obnoxious.
Well, how do people, when you get offended by that, how do people react that have done stuff like that, like those two people?
Oh, they were like, "Oh, well, I didn't mean to offend you. Like, that's just like what people, that have it, it's easier for them, or, in terms of, the person who was talking about the shiny objects, they were like, well, like, people who have ADHD get distracted by those kinds of things." And I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. I didn't know that you had ADHD or that you were an expert on the subject. Like, it just, people think that they know things, and unless you really go through it, you don't.
Conceptions have you heard about your own learning disability, or about yourself, or any negative? Have you ever heard any negative misconceptions about ADHD and other learning disabilities?
Definitely. The usual. A lot of people think we're not capable. A lot of people think that. I've never heard the term stupid, but slow. Antisocial. I don't think I'm antisocial. Hyper, which I don't think is also a negative term, but just kind of like not socially aware, a lot of people think, and also they don't really think we're gonna go far. But I don't know, every time someone tells me, like, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 6, and I was kicked out of Catholic school because they didn't want to deal with me. And I switched around to a lot of different schools. I dealt with a lot of things, and they always told me that I wasn't going to be able to do this, or that I was going to get left back. And they were wrong. I feel like now every time, they told me I wasn't going to be able to go to public high school. I went to public high school. They told me I probably would have to get left back and wouldn't make it to college. I'm in college. So, I don't know, I feel like every time they would say, well, good luck with that, I'd be like, well, now I have to do it to prove you wrong. So, I guess we're very undermined in our abilities. So, I guess that would be it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, it's a disability, so naturally people are just going to talk about it negatively. Probably the most negative experience I've had as a result of it, though, is just being medicated for it, because being medicated as a kid, it just felt really awful, and the days I would have to take pills, it would just feel like I wasn't myself anymore, and I was just a zombie walking to school and doing just kind of a robot program to do everything. And I stopped taking the pills around like 6th grade or something, and yeah, I decided I'd never take them again.
A lot of people think that, like, it's a choice that you don't focus on anything, but it's really not something that you can help. And that if you have ADHD, you can't sit still, you can't stop talking, you can't look at anything for more than 10 minutes. And that's not true. Like, there are different kinds of ADHD. Like, yeah, some of them are more focus based, and some of them are more like physically based. Like, you have trouble sitting still, but they're not all the same. Like, every person's different.
Speaking on that same wavelength for same grade, have you ever had any, like, besides those negative experiences, have you ever had any other, like, really negative experiences with people, like bullying or at all?
Actually, my teacher for photography, I had a bad experience with my teacher in photography because he was pulling me out of class to tell me that I couldn't, like, walk out of class, like, at these times, and, like, that my tapping or, like, bouncing was annoying other people. And I have my like, my paper from the DLRC that says I can do those things. Well, like, not obviously the bouncing thing, but it's not like I'm trying to annoy people. And he just gets mad. He was, like, actually angry with me. And I look at him and I'm like, do you know, like, what ADHD is? Like, do you not know that I'm struggling to, like, try and pay attention, and I'm struggling to not, like, I don't want to annoy these other people by, like, tapping or bouncing, but, like, I'll stop, and then I'll start, like, listening in class, and then my knee will start bouncing again. It's not like I'm consciously doing it. It just happens. And he's just like, well, yeah, we'll try harder. And I'm like, you don't even know.
So did he not take your accommodations at all?
No, he's like, I didn't see it, and I'm like, we definitely had a talk about about when I sent it to you and you saw it, but that's all right, whatever.
So, like, he signed the paperwork, right? I know in certain schools, I know that they have to sign a paperwork acknowledging it.
We had a talk about him seeing it, so I know he saw it. So regardless of, like, the legality of it.
Did you bring that up to DLRC at all?
No, and honestly, I didn't, because I had missed the 3rd class, but, like, some of my classes you can miss more than others, and this one I didn't know, and it was an accident, and he let me stay, so I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything about it, though I want to, but I still haven't finished up that class yet and gotten the grade, so at least I won't do anything until I get the grade.
Was this recently?
Yeah.
How does your ADD affect your daily life, academically and personally?
I mean, the big thing is just, like, I have to stay sitting down for a long time. And I know that, like, every few hours I should just get up and walk around for a bit so I can keep working, because I do animation and comics, so that's a lot of sitting. So yeah, just getting up and walking around. After such a long time, you learn to just work around it and how to deal with everything in your own ways.
Oh wait, no, I read that wrong. Can you explain what it's like when you how your ADHD affects your daily life and how it affects how you, like, learn new things?
Yeah, so daily life, I find myself well, there's two parts of me. There's the me when I take my pills, and there's the me when I'm not taking my pills. My pills for ADHD. Um, which one?
Either one, you can talk both.
Okay, so not on my pills, I eat a ton more. So that happens, and I find myself saying a lot of things that I wouldn't and shouldn't say. That makes me want to like stop and think. Except I just don't. There's no filter. It's just all everything's good. Everything's just coming out. I'm saying it, and it gets me in trouble. On my pills, I'm a lot less fun. Like very subdued, relaxed. I'm able to focus on things, but if I do get distracted and I look at something else, I also really focus on that thing. Some of my friends don't like me when I'm on my medication. Some only prefer me when I'm on my medication, which I'm not really sure that's a fair thing to say or like to like judge someone on, but I'm definitely a different person when I'm on my pills. I tend to take a lot more time doing something when I'm not on my pills, like homework or reading or making any kind of decision. It takes me longer. But when I'm on my pill, but it takes me longer because I'm getting distracted. But when I'm on my ADHD medication, it still takes long. However, it's because I'm like thinking about the differences, and I'm also very indecisive, so that comes.
Have you ever lied when the subject of having a learning difference came up, or the subject of like, or somebody brought up the name learning disability? Have you ever like lied about having ADHD?
Not really, but when they say, "Do you have a learning disability?" I say no, because I don't. It's a difference, and I'm not going to like allow myself to be placed in that just because that's how you want to say it. Like, I know they mean, well, everyone thinks they mean the same thing, but like the impact is so much different that I'm like, no, I actually don't have that. I have a learning difference. And so yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna ask a question because she wants to ask personal questions. How does it make you feel when certain people prefer you on your medicine without it? How does that make you feel?
Bad, because on my medication, um, shit, sorry, it gets like, get really emotional about this because there is like, they're both, off the medication is more me than on the medication, and the girl I dated for 4 years, that I recently broke up with, always liked me on my medication more, and I just never actually talked to her about it, but it's just the fact that it's more me, so it's like you don't like me. And my friends that are like, you need to relax, blah, like, and things of that nature, I'm like, that isn't me though. Like, I don't take my pills sometimes on purpose because I want to enjoy myself more. I'm more happy when I'm not on my pills because I feel like myself more. I feel like myself more when I'm off my pills, which makes me, like, appreciate things more and feel like people like me for me.
Okay. What if people if people were to watch this documentary? What would you want the people who are watching it to take away from it? And what's important for you to convey about learning disabilities?
Well, I mean, it's the obvious thing to say would be that we're not stupid, right? And I mean, like, of course, everybody would know that. But, like, I guess... I suppose just, like, a better understanding of what it is. Because... That's a tough one.
I have so many ideas for like on my own, like, 'cause I've always thought of this. I'm like, what would I want them to say? Because about like the problems I went through growing up with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer that. It's fine.
I guess just... It's not worth looking down on somebody for it. And it's not worth, like, slowing down for them either, I don't think. Because, like, well, we've seen how slowing down education works, and yeah.
I would like people to realize more that it is a legitimate thing, and it's not something that people can control, and it's not just something you just develop or can control. It is a legitimate disorder, and it needs to be treated as such, and it's hard to live with sometimes, but it is manageable.
That they aren't disabilities. That doesn't make me different than you. That if someone that you know has a learning difference and they might be complaining about like how long this reading's taking or like how hard this is for them, don't just say, oh, this is so easy, because it's not easy. It takes me so long to read something that could take someone like no time at all. And saying that just makes you look like a dick.
Definitely want people to take away from it that we're the same. We can do the same stuff. We're all like, if someone were to come up to me and say, you have ADD, I'd be like, homie, we're in the same college. There was someone I worked with a while ago, and they went to an Ivy League school, like Columbia University in New York. And I'm going to art school here. And another guy who worked with us went to community college. And this guy who went to Columbia was really condescending. He was like, oh, well, I go to Ivy League school, so, and I'm better than you. And, you know, there did come a point where I was like, you know what, you do go to Columbia. I go to art school. He goes to community college, yet we all work for the same place. We all are here. So clearly, your Ivy League school got you in the same place as the kid who goes to community college. You're no better. So when people say that, I want people to know that people with ADD can do the same shit you can do. Sometimes even better. Because the fact that everyone tells us we can't only makes us fight harder for it. Whenever someone tells me I can't, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it.